In today's video, I'm going to break down how to go from 40% body fat down to 25% body fat and what's the best diet for you. Hey guys, what's going on? This is Paul Ravella from ProPhysique.com. In today's video, I want to talk about how to go from 40% body fat down to 25% body fat. And specifically, the question comes from right here on my Instagram direct message. So this is a question that seems to come up quite a bit without a lot of information. And honestly, I don't think you need a lot of information. When someone's 40% body fat, it simply comes down to some basic mechanical things that we need to work on. And so I want to talk about that. I want to talk about some of the most popular diets, why they're popular, why they work, why they may work for you, why they may not, why I do things the way that I do them. Now, I'm a coach who's been doing this for over a decade. I love dieting down and getting shredded like you see on the screen here, but more importantly, I like to help anyone that has a goal that involves making themselves better, whether that be more muscle, less body fat, or just being in a healthy, happy spot. So what I want to focus on is today's question, and I'm going to read it to you, and then we're just going to get into it. And it's pretty straightforward, guys. It just says, how do I get from 40% body fat down to 25% body fat? Also 57 years old. So what are the mechanisms that we need to understand in order to lose body fat? And I think the big thing I want to first focus on is that we need to understand the big picture. What is your life like? Now, at ProPhysique, what we do is we set up a consultation. Every client that I've ever worked with, I take a 30-minute phone consult, and we do that free of charge. So if you're not looking for coaching, I understand. I also have another great solution for you. But the idea here is that we got to look at the big picture, okay? So we're going to get into some diets, and we're going to get into some training and some cardio and talk about how we can lose body fat. But I want you guys to understand it's all going to come down to your accountability, okay? If you're looking for a solution where I can say, hey, you can take this one pill, you can eat this one weird thing, you can take a cold shower and lose weight, I'm sorry, that doesn't exist. That's all bullshit propaganda that people are trying to sell you something, okay? Not really trying to sell you guys anything. I just want you to reach your goals like I've reached mine. I've been able to change my body, my clients' bodies, physiques, and something else, the psychology of this process. So let's talk a little bit about what we have to do. We've got to create a caloric deficit, guys. That's not news to anybody watching this. Everyone knows that to lose body fat, you need to be taking in less calories than you're burning, but sometimes it can be very difficult, especially with the overabundance of information that we have right now. So I'm going to start doing something with you guys. I'm going to start showing you what I eat. So here you go. Here's my breakfast. This is the breakfast that I have pretty much every day right now. Okay, it's 2 scoops of vegan protein powder, a vegan protein powder that I came up with. Why? Because I could not have whey protein. My body, when I was in my 30s, decided that whey protein was very hard to digest, and I started having some very difficult digestive symptoms. And it made my life difficult. Why? Because whey protein or protein powders are an easy way to get protein, and protein is something we need to focus on for a lot of reasons, okay? It's the building block for muscle. It's also very tough for protein, just straight protein, to be converted to body fat, okay? So it allows us to eat a lot more volume of food without the risk of, well, overeating calories that might be something that are easier to consume. Things like sugar, things like fats that are a lot more calorie dense, right? So protein can be very valuable, not only for the aspects of building muscle, but for the aspects of preventing fat gain from over consuming other calories. So when it comes to my dietary needs, sometimes it can be tough, okay? I'm a 220-pound lifetime natural bodybuilder. I'm 46 years old. And for me, getting protein is not always easy because I have to cook and prepare it. I can't use protein powders. Well, that's changed because the supplement company that I'm involved with, Core Nutritionals, I've been with them for many years now, they actually helped me out. They asked me if there was any products that I felt that would be beneficial, and protein powder was the one thing that I really struggled with. So here's my breakfast, guys, okay? Now, is there anything magical behind whey protein powder, almond milk, strawberries, blueberries, banana, and ice in a blender? Is there anything magical there? Well, perhaps, okay? It's very high protein. I get a lot of micronutrients. It also got a lot of fiber in there, so I feel full for quite a while. But does it fit into any of this? Does it fit into intermittent fasting? Does it fit into clean eating? Does it fit into one meal a day? Does it fit into keto? Probably doesn't fit into keto, but it probably can fit into all of these. And so I want to talk about why any of these approaches will work. Now, the approach that I use is just called flexible dieting, being aware of the amount of calories that I'm taking in, the amount of calories that I'm burning throughout the day, and just kind of playing with those numbers along the way. So let's talk about my first meal of the day. And tomorrow I'm going to do a full day of eating video. I'm going to show you all my meals. But for today, while I'm filming the full day of eating, I thought I would just show you what I'm having for breakfast, and it's this shake. What about this shake is good? Well, I don't have to think, okay? For me, for all of these diets that you see here that have success, it's about behavior change, right? It's about changing your behavior. Why do these diets change your behavior if you're doing intermittent fasting? Because you're creating a set of rules. Most of us, throughout the day, if we feel a little hunger kick in, we just grab a candy bar, we just grab some chips, we grab a soda, we grab something that has several hundred calories. Now that simple act alone can prevent you from losing fat. If you repeat that act several times, it's going to actually cause you to gain fat, okay? It's not the insulin fairy. Insulin is not the problem. The problem is the overconsumption of calories, guys, when you overconsume calories. So what does intermittent fasting do? Well, you learn a few things. You learn, okay, I can eat between a certain window, and there's definitely a lot of styles of intermittent fasting. You can do alternate day fasting. You can do the most common fasting approach, which is, you eat 12 to 6 or 12 to 8 every day and fast the rest of the day. But the idea there is that you're changing your behavior. You're no longer snacking. You're only eating in that window, okay? So how does it work? It creates an energy deficit. And if you've been eating terribly, I think it can also help you with your digestion because you're giving your body a chance to recover. Your digestive process is not always inflamed. If you're constantly eating, it might be. So there can be some benefits there. Now, a lot of people will claim that intermittent fasting has some other magical properties, but all those same magical properties are associated with weight loss from any caloric restriction, okay? So let's talk about clean eating. Clean eating is another very common one. We all know to lose weight, you gotta eat chicken, you gotta eat broccoli, you gotta eat your potatoes, you gotta eat your rice, you gotta eat your oatmeal, egg whites, these kind of things. Clean eating, it's just very hard to define, right? Certain foods that we label as clean, some other people might not. So I don't like the term clean eating. The other problem with clean eating is if you clean up your diet, if you remove all the fried foods, right? We could probably say that's something that's not very clean. If we remove all the sugar dense foods, we could probably say that's not clean. And you lose some weight, but then you stall, how do you make progress from there? Do you eat cleaner? Well, if you're looking to make more progress, it's still gonna come to accountability and how many calories you're taking in. So now we talk about one meal a day. This is an extreme form of intermittent fasting where you're basically consuming all of your calories in one meal. And I know a lot of people that have great success with this, and wonderful. However, we're missing out on a few key things, mostly the multiple benefits of protein synthesis throughout the day for someone like myself that's looking to put on muscle. Now, if you have to lose a lot of weight and one meal a day can help you get that process started, I'm here for it. Understanding that these are all going to change your behaviors. And then it comes down to keto, which is another really trendy, popular diet that, has a lot of implications and a lot of benefits, okay? But it's also a big change to your lifestyle. A lot of people think if they just cut out breads and sugars that they're keto. No, ketogenic dieting, nutritional ketosis starts with about 70 to 75% of your calories per day coming in the form of fats, okay? And then your body switches to ketones for fuel over glucose for fuel. So it's an entire shift, and you can't go in and out of ketosis, right? I guess you could, but if you want to be in a keto diet, you need to be sustaining this very high fat, moderate to low protein, very, very little carbohydrate approach for a long amount of time. That can be difficult. For someone like myself, I just have no interest. I've also seen the physique athletes and the performance athletes that I've had that have tried going into ketosis, very bad results, okay? Muscles are smaller, performance suffers, at least initially. Now there may be some long-term benefits. I've seen some great things for endurance athletes, but it's a consideration. But what's the key here? You're changing your behavior. So when it comes to diet, the one thing all these have in common is that you're changing your behavior. Now, what do I prefer to do? I change my behavior by simply pulling up my food scale, eating whatever the frick I want, okay? I enjoy the foods I want to eat. I just make them fit my daily goals. Understanding that all these diets work on the same basic mechanism, calorie restriction. You're restricting calories, you're taking in less calories, okay? So if you're taking in less calories and you're moving more, you're moving that needle, you're creating a deficit. So how do we get to this point? How do we get to the point where we want to do this? Well, it starts with, I think the big ticket item would be health. What is your health like? If you go to the doctor and they say, well, you're pre-diabetic and you are at risk for heart disease. Okay, a lot of people are gonna go, okay, I can use one of these approaches. For a lot of people, an approach like this, a one meal a day intermittent fasting, that is an easy way to make that adjustment. You don't have to track as diligently. You don't have to be as detailed. You just say, I don't eat at this time, I do eat at this time. And if you make progress, great. And it has a great benefit for that individual. But there's other reasons. Why do we want to diet? For vanity. Hey, I'm gonna go to the pool this summer. I'm going on vacation. I wanna look good with my shirt off. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? There can be a benefit to being vain as long as it's not having a negative impact on your life. I can tell you when I was young, I thought that if I started lifting weights, I would meet the ladies. Turns out I met the other dudes in the gym that thought, wow, this guy also likes to build muscle. So for some of us, vanity can be a reason to get into one of these diet styles. For performance, now this, as a college baseball player, as a competitive bodybuilder, I was always very aware of performance. I was always very aware that protein helped build muscle. It's something that was talked about in my nutrition books as a baseball player. In the 80s, obviously, my first bodybuilding book, the Arnold Bodybuilding Encyclopedia, talks a lot about protein. So I started dabbling, in early, 12, 13, 14 years old when I first started getting interested in kind of resistance training with the idea of nutrition for performance. Now, a lot of that was misguided. I didn't really understand it. And that's what I do now. I'm a performance nutrition coach, right? Like my athletes are competitors. They're trying to lose body fat. They're trying to add muscle. So I focus a lot of my nutrition around performance. And these diets are not necessarily based on performance. I promise you, intermittent fasting, clean eating, OMAD, they're not based on performance. They're not talking about when should you eat based on when you're going to train, how your recovery is going. This is where being flexible and understanding the evidence-based approach to nutrition is really going to be helpful. And then competition. So I'm a competitive bodybuilder, right? So I really focus my nutrition and my behavior changes around getting shredded. So for someone like you that's wanting to go from 40% to 25% body fat, it really comes down to, I think, this thing right here, behavior. What do you have to do to change your behavior? Now, my company, for the last 3 years, we've been doing a transformation challenge, and we're about to start a new one, which is why I wanted to talk about it today, okay? It starts in late July, goes for 90 days. We're giving away $25,000. We just gave away the cash to our winners from our last one a couple weeks ago, it feels like. But the point is that we are going to guide you. We're going to provide nutrition. We're going to provide training. We're also going to provide the reason to change your behavior. Okay, it's a competition. So sometimes you just need that. For 90 days you can get after it. Now, we also are going to provide, a live format where we can do live videos every week with you guys, answer questions. You don't need a coach. Now, it does cost $50. So if that's a barrier to entry for you, I totally understand. But some people don't want the high cost of one-on-one coaching. Some people just need something to get excited about, and this group has been a wonderful way to do that. So when it comes to this 40% to 25% body fat, in my mind, the clients that I've worked with that have been in that position, they've lost weight rather easily, okay? It just comes down to a few key behavior changes, right? Sometimes it just comes down to perhaps paying attention to your nutrition a little more closely. Sometimes it might just come down to your daily activity, right? Just because you have a job that requires you to be very sedentary, you might have to get up before work. You might have to plan for something at the middle of the day. You might have to go after work. You have to look for opportunities in your daily routine, in your weekend, the times that you're watching Netflix. If you could see, I have my treadmill right here in front of my TV. Maybe I'll film it after, and I'll do a little B-roll of that. So you can see, like, I literally set up my life, guys. I promise you, you're not busier than me. No one watching this video is as busy as I am. I get up every day at 5:30 a.m. to do cardio, okay? I coach my competitive clients. We have more than 30 employees that work for my company. I have 3 kids that are downstairs right now. What I have done as I've managed to turn my life into an opportunity to get better, right? If I can't get to the gym to do cardio because I have to get up with my kids and take them to school or camp in the morning, well, I bought a treadmill for the house, okay? Because I was going to find opportunities. So we've all got reasons. We've all got excuses on why we can't get there. I'm a 46-year-old lifetime natural bodybuilder with 3 kids, a full business, a full boat of clients that keep me very busy. In fact, I'm headed to New Jersey this weekend for a competition, but I get it done, okay? So we're gonna start with a full day of eating tomorrow. I'm gonna explain why I do that. I'm gonna show you my breakfast for today, and I'm gonna help you guys get from 40% to 25% body fat using an approach that works best for you. I have no problems with these. It just has to align with something that you can handle, and I'm gonna give you guys my opinion on what the best way to proceed for you is. So yeah, join us for this challenge, and hopefully this kind of gives you some insight into how to get fat loss moving. All right, I'll talk to you tomorrow.